Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Julia Vandersand, the current chair of AMA DocSIG, and we are thrilled you are here for our Supporting Women on the Academic Job Market webinar with Dr. June Cotte. DocSIG exists to support marketing PhD students with community, practical guidance, and honest conversations, especially on topics that don't always get airtime. We are also a traditionally female-led organization. Over the past 20 years, about 60% of DocSIG chairs have been women, a tradition that will continue through 2027 with Ishida and Zara. Yet our annual research productivity report shows again, among the 50 most productive scholars in premier marketing journals, only 10 are women. That mismatch, women often visible as community leaders but underrepresented in publication counts, raises real questions about how to navigate the job market, evaluate offers, and advocate for what matters. So for all our DocSIG support initiatives, data is king. That's why we're kicking off our 2024-25 Who and Where job market survey today. Your participation helps us document the market of last year accurately, and down the line helps your future tenure letter writers benchmark your trajectory against your cohort with better evidence. We will share the survey link at the end of the webinar. And if you were a participant of last year's job market, please take a few minutes to participate, please. So, but of today's RSVPs, 55% of participants are actually targeting this year's job market. And many are weighing in not just interviews and flyouts, but also location, caregiving, and values alignment, as your questions revealed. So this hour is a supportive space to talk candidly about those realities and strategies to thrive. Please note that we are recording only the presentation section, and after that, we will stop the recording and then enter the safe space, the discussion. So some housekeeping before we get started. Please stay muted unless you're speaking. Please keep your camera on if you're comfortable and use your full name in Zoom in respect to the safe space we're creating. And without further ado, I'm happy to pass the virtual mic over to my DocSIG colleague, Jiaying, who will be moderating today's discussion, and welcome our speaker, Dr. June Cotte.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Xiaoying, and I'm a PhD candidate from Syracuse University. And at the same time, I'm serving as the Vice President of Special Project and Partnership for AMA DocSIG. And we are so glad that you are here with us for this special session of the Job Market Series, which is our last one. Rooted and Ready, supporting women on the academic job market. And the academic job market can feel especially demanding for women. Beyond the usual pressures of interviews and research talks, we often carry additional questions. Will I be taken seriously? And can I find a position that honors both my career ambitions and my personal values? And what if the ideal job isn't in the ideal location for my family? So if you have asked yourself any of those questions, you're not alone. Many brilliant women have walked this path before us, and today we are lucky to have one of those women here to help light the way. And it's my great honor to welcome Dr. June Cotte. She's the professor of marketing at the Ivey Business School, Western University. And she's also a former editor of the Journal of Consumer Research and past president of the Association for Consumer Research. Dr. Cotte's research explored consumer behavior through the lens of ethics, time, perception, family influence, and gambling. Her work has been published in JCR, JMR, and JCP, and even featured in the Wall Street Journal. But what makes her presence here especially meaningful today is her role as co-founder of the Designing Your Career in the Marketing Academy Initiate, a program created specially to support early career and female identifying marketing scholars. And this initiative is about creating space for women to orient themselves to the field, and space to learn from one another, and space to name and navigate the real challenge and opportunities that come with being a woman on the academic job market. And today's session will be first starting with a short presentation from Dr. June Cotte, and then following with some questions. And here, let's welcome together with Dr. June Scott.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. I see some names that I recognize on the screen, so that's always nice, but it's also nice to meet brand new people. It is an emphasis on a short presentation. I just have a couple of opening thoughts because really I would just like to spend most of my time, dealing with your questions. I got some of them ahead of time, so I have some thoughts on those. But let me just go ahead and share the slides. That's good. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Okay. So first of all, I maybe not the best for this. And I'll tell you why. There's some reasons why I think I am good for this, but maybe not the best. So I did graduate in the bad old days. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. I did choose a location my partner would like over where most research schools are. So my now husband of almost 30 years, we met when I was in my PhD program, and he hates big cities. So I told my supervisor, no, New York, Chicago, Boston, Los Angeles, Toronto, Vancouver, and my chair said, that's where all the schools are. That's where all the schools are. And I said, yeah, but I'm not going to choose between this. So in that way, I see from some of your questions, I was very similar in that way. I did have 2 kids after my PhD and on the way to tenure. And importantly, I also led recruiting for over a decade here at Ivey. And so all of the women that are here now, I had a hand in hiring, and I was the only woman when I joined the faculty. And now we are, I think there was 5 of 12, so not balanced, but close. And however, at the time of my first sabbatical, right after tenure, my husband largely became a stay-at-home spouse. So that's where I say I may not be the best for some of the kinds of questions that you asked, because in that regard, I look a lot more like the old guys with the stay-at-home wives, in that my husband has been able to travel with me. We have, moved around. Well, we haven't moved around that much, but we've traveled around a lot. I had support at home. So in that way, sometimes I won't give you the best advice because I didn't face the kind of challenges some of you are. But having said that, a couple of things to keep in mind. We shouldn't need events like this, but we still do. However, I would be totally remiss to not point out things are continuing to improve. It's maybe hard to see the progress when you are in it, right? When it's your life and you're facing all of these challenges, and I do not diminish that at all. But I also do want to take a step back and say that you, me, you, everybody that comes after us will continue to make things better and challenge these kinds of things. Events like this will do that. The Who Went Where survey that you mentioned, the other thing that helps tremendously is even later, because you can later on show that your salary has fallen behind the market. If you have an accurate sense of the market, which women are, we're not particularly great at asking for the right amount of money. So data-based approaches are great. And we have made huge improvements in the field. And like I said, but that doesn't help you in your unique situation. I understand that. So some overall thoughts, and then I'm just going to turn it over to you guys. As unpopular as it is to say and to hear and difficult to hear, you are in a very competitive field, and it is largely structured for professors with support at home. I mean, I could sugarcoat that, but that is just the way it is, even though it is improving. Top schools demand production. And very little work-life balance is expected, although again, that is changing. And so some of what we'll talk about today is picking the right place for you and being really, really honest with what you want. So if you want to be one of those women with the Vitas like crazy, which is not me, by the way, even all the nice things that they said at the beginning, my Vita is quite light compared to, say, somebody else you might think of at my career stage, because I've prioritized other things. But I'm really clear about why I did the things that I did. So if you want to be that person that becomes an ACR fellow, that is well known for their research, is like the top person that is in those citation counts at the top, then recognize that is going to require a whole different set of support systems and different choices than someone who might say, pick a school that fits their kind of work-life balance goals. Again, we'll talk more about this when we get to your questions. So all of that to be said is the best advice I can give you. Sounds so easy. It's not. I recognize it. is you have to be yourself because you really don't want a job where there's a mismatch. You don't want a job where you are super ambitious and you've gone to a place where everybody's just kind of comfy, because you're not going to fit in there. You also don't want to go to a place that is super competitive, expects massive, massive productions, if in fact you would like a little bit of more balanced life. So a lot of the questions are like, what should I disclose? What should I talk about? You know, and we'll talk about the nuances of some of that, but as much as you can be honest on the job search, you are much more likely to find a school that actually fits what you want. So I have some advice around that as we get into the questions, but I do think ultimately it's about fit. And so the first thing to get that fit is to know exactly what you want, or as close to it as you can, and then try to communicate that. Okay, I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, so like just kind of overall thoughts, but I really would be happy to delve into the questions a little bit.